Hello, everyone. Today we have a really perfectly timed episode for you, given the current situation with weather in the UK at the minute. It's awful. It feels like it's February or November or something like that. It's raining, it's chilly. So Keith and I are going to do an episode discussing what we do when it rains and what professionals do. So it should be good fun. Keith, how are you doing?
I'm okay, mate. Got my little lad's sports day a little bit later on, so looking forward to that. Try and be that frustrating parent that just wants a kid to win everything. Try and hold that in, but keep cool on the outside and just like that nod of acceptance if he does well.
Will you be doing like the dad race?
There is none, and
What?
I don't think there is. I don't think there is. And with my knees, mate, nah.
So interesting. Sports day is funny. I've never done the dad race. I always try and take the high ground. Do you know what I mean? Because there's nothing to gain because you should win it because you're a professional sportsman. But equally, you haven't warmed up for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? You haven't done your foam rolling, done your leg kicks and all that. So if you were to have a go, not win, and maybe tweak something, it'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I need to take a paracetamol or two, mate, beforehand.
Get a Brufen down.
Yeah.
One of our family friends actually did the mum's race, right? Really sweet lady. She came out the traps hard, but obviously it's a school playing field, so it's not perfectly level. And she, when people fall over, but they try not to, and they're running at high speed, so she sort of did a stack it. She stacked it forward, but tried to stay on her feet. So she ended up like pedaling along and then just face planting into the school field. You're like, oh, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's not for me those races, but it's a lovely day in it for everyone.
It is, no, it is, mate. It is. Coming on to the subject of what we do when it rains. I always used to wonder when I'd see cricketers playing and then they go off for rain and whatever, what they got up to. And obviously now we've done it for quite a while. What is it? Do you think? What do you notice people do the most when they come off for rain? What's the main go-to?
Well, this is a good question. I think the first thing is you need someone in the team. Mate, I don't want to say a senior player, but normally there is somebody who is really on the ball with regarding weather apps. So there'll be someone in there who's really good with Rain Today or Met Office, and they'll be on the phone straight away, and they'll say, right, we've got a good band here coming down the River Taff. We're going to be off. We're going to be off for 2 hours. or someone will say, oh, it's just a passing shower. There's nothing showing up on Rain Today. So I think the first thing to do is locate that player in the team, or that's what people do. They find out who that is. At the minute at Leicestershire, it's Rishi Patel. Absolutely on point with his he uses Wet and Dry, which is like a paid for app. Yeah, it's like £5 a month.
Yeah.
And he, to be honest, I mean, he's using the app, so I don't want to give him all the credit. But we had a game at Cardiff last year, and he was anticipating the weather to within like 2 minutes. He'd be like, "Oh, we go back on." He'd be like, "We'll be off at 10." Or yeah, what would he say? Not 10 because we wouldn't have started. He'd be like, "Oh, we'll be off at 11:55," and it would be like bang, like clockwork. And he's gained that reputation.
Yeah.
So that's the important thing. Find out how much rain you've got.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There is always one person in a team. I don't know if you remember, Jonathan Trott was the person in the know when it came to weather. He would know where, not only how long it was going to be, but where it was coming from. And he'd always talk about Highbourne being, look over towards Highbourne. Highbourne is where it's coming from. Look, and he'd point out where it's coming from. You'd even have Boyd Rankin who'd be looking up at the clouds, being a farmer and stood in the field for so long. He'd look up and go, it's passing, but it's going to come back round. This is going to come back round us and then hit us. And you like look, and it actually has. Like, this is unbelievable.
I love this chat. So you know how I go a long way back with Boyd, and that we were at Middlesex together.
Yeah.
So in one of my first second team games, I think we were playing against Leicestershire for Middlesex at Hinckley.
Yeah.
Which they don't play there anymore. But I didn't really know Boyd. I think it might have even been his first game. And I promise you, And there's no tax on this. It wasn't overcast or anything. He looked up and he was like, "Oh, we'll be off, in half an hour." And I remember being like, "What?" And he was like, he was like,
Yeah. Yes.
"You can smell it." And he like again, it was like literally the sun was out, and I was like, "This bloke's an absolute cowboy." I'm like, I hope he doesn't come back. And he was right. He was right. He was spot on, and we went off. And it literally was one of those days where initial sunny period, and then it was just like showers and what's not all day.
Yeah, and you know what? With Boyd, I remember playing at Lee. We played Leeds University away, and sunny again, like you've just said, and he did the exact same thing where it's gonna rain in a bit. It literally, I was like, good one, Boyd. Like, because he was a bit of a prankster, wasn't he? And he's like, telling you, boss, it's going to rain. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then you start to see, probably half an hour later, these clouds coming over. And that's where he said, this is going to go around us. It's going to split. It was like looking, it's going to split round us, which it was doing. And he said, it's going to come back round onto us. And it did exactly that. It's always good to have people that you can trust on the weather. So then you can kind of decide what you're going to do. I know there's been times where we've kind of, we know it's going to be a bit of rain or a lot of rain. Some Troy saying, yeah, this is going to be here for hours. So then you're then looking, all right, what do you fancy doing when we go off? You start getting a team together of like, lads, cards, bit of indoor cricket, kind of, what are people feeling?
Yeah. Again, there's so many factors in all of this. So I will come to what you just said, because there is another part in this. Is you need your weatherman to give you the early indication. So you need your Jonathan Trotts, your Rishi Patels. I don't know who it is at Hampshire at the minute, but you need a good description of what's happening from them. Then you need the umpires to be. I feel like the more senior the umpires, the more decisive they are.
Yeah,
they won't be like, "Oh, we're going to look in half an hour. We're going to look in 45 minutes." They'll just be like, "We'll come back after lunch and we'll make an assessment." They know, and they've been around the block. These umpires, they played at these grounds. They just know it. There's no chance. So it's when you get the umpires kind of all clear that we start coming up with ideas. So what? Go on then. What hypothetically, assuming that you get there in the morning and you don't even go out to warm up. But so we've arrived at Edgbaston, for example, back in the day. And then the umpires say, look, no play before lunch. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Well, for us, for me especially, I know it was kind of, who fancies going for a coffee, quarter horse?
Yeah.
Or it'd be kind of out of nowhere, you'd be randomly sat around and then someone would just walk in with a tennis ball or a taped up tennis ball, and you're like, all right, we know what's going on here. And it'd take one or two people to start throwing, someone with a thin bat hitting a ball, and then next thing you know, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 around the bat. You would get the professionals who would go in the gym. Good on you, well done. Or some lads that go and hit or whatever. I mean, that's great as well if you committed to being as professional as possible. But I find myself either playing a bit of cricket, indoor cricket, one-on-one bounce, or going for a coffee a lot of the time.
Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I feel like there's a real balance, isn't there? Because as bowlers, if you do go back on, you've got to be slightly aware that you don't necessarily want to go, "Oh, I'm going to go and smash myself in the gym," because actually you could be. Do you know what I mean? You could be in the field, so you've got to have an eye to the future, haven't you, in terms of your energy levels and stuff like that. I feel like what I always had an issue with as a bowler was that, let's say I did want to go and have a hit. Everyone's thinking I'm going to front load all my training here, so they're like, right, as soon as they get the all clear weather-wise, they're going to go and do something straight away. So invariably, you'd be waiting. If I wanted to have a hit, I'd be behind a queue of batters. So I didn't really have a choice but to go to quarter horse with you or do something like that. No matter how professional I wanted to be, it was like, you know what, there's going to be a naughty queue, no one with a stick or anything like that. So actually, maybe I'll save it, find out what's going on, and venture to different pastures if we've given the green light by the coach.
Yeah. Do Do you know what I really enjoyed is when you're on the pitch and it's when people can see it coming and everyone's looking. Just as an indication, everyone's on the same page here. We think we're going to end up going off, and there's quite a few people who want to go off for a bit of a break. And also, what helps with knowing what's going to happen with the weather, which we didn't mention, you do have your teammates and umpires, but ground staff, they've got to be on the ball with it because they're going to be off and on with the covers. So, groundsman, it's great to know because obviously he's going to decide when you go back on as well, and how much work it's going to take, how much time.
Do you remember Edgbaston when they basically, because they had to be quick, you'd hear they start the hover cover up and you'd be like, oh, hover cover. And then they've got state of the art weather apps in their dungeon bit and they're out there. So interesting. Did you watch a lot of cricket when you were younger or not? Did you go to Lancs much?
No, not really. But I'd watched a little bit TV-wise, but not loads, apart from just club cricket. Yeah.
So, well, even TV, that's fine. But I remember like when you're watching and when you're a kid, it rains. It's like, oh no! It's like it was like I wanted to watch the first hour of the Test match, then go in the garden with my mates and play. And it was like, it was a real bummer. The reality is, I haven't met many professionals that don't think it's brilliant when it rains. There's something that, isn't it? It's like anybody in any job quite likes getting paid to do nothing. Let's be honest, that's quite a good scenario. So it is kind of like you're just getting paid to muck about, which is I know that isn't maybe what some people want to hear, but it is the truth in most cases. I don't know what you think.
No, that's true. I agree with that. I think even sometimes I've been walking to school with some parents and they can't believe that we will stop working because of the weather and they wish their job could do that. Which there is jealousy from, I think, people at every type of work in the weather affecting us. Obviously, football, rugby, doesn't matter. You're playing. Can be snowing, doesn't matter. Cricket, it's a bit slippy out there. Lads, in we come. I think it's you got to protect us. You have to protect your players. So I think it's part of the game. You crack on with it.
Is it true that you using your sort of senior status, when it's not even been raining but it has rained, you've been known to walk out around the outfield and apply real heavy foot pressure on the turf to make it appear more wet than it is?
That is an absolute lie. You've just made that up. That's a terrible lie, right? I've seen one or two players go out with trainers on, and just I think with trainers it makes a difference when you start like trampling on a little bit of a wet spot. It seems to kind of flood a bit more. I have seen one or two players do that. Can
you name and shame?
I want to say Trotty taught me that.
Do
you know what I do enjoy? I enjoy is the fact of where it's not too wet, but people will go and search for the wettest part of the pitch of the ground and start trampling on it. So look, it's so wet here, we can't go on.
Actually, you know what? Interestingly, a week ago, at Grace Road, the umpires called or agreed a start time. So they inspected everywhere, agreed a start time, bowled one over, and then came back off because they thought they got it wrong. I've never seen that before.
I've not seen that before.
They were like, "Oh, actually, we've missed this wet patch here. We're going to go off for another half an hour."
I rate that. But, I rate that they've done that, but that's a bit of a miss. Where was that at?
It was at Grace Road. I can't remember the two umpires. Probably shouldn't say anyway.
No.
But yeah. And that is a killer for a supporter or a fan, isn't it? When it's not raining, and you're like, why are they not out there? And you see a Jonathan Trott going around squelching.
Do you know what I say when it rains? The most frustrating part of when it does rain is when it's raining and then it stops. It's on and off, and you kind of you come off. And it starts to stop raining, and then people are shouting, "Come on, get back on!" And then you go back on, it starts raining again.
Yeah,
I think every professional would rather it just rain and we'd be off, or just not rain and let's crack on.
that is 100% the case because, and we haven't done an episode on this yet, you fall into the dreaded category of like doing multiple warm-ups. So like if you've got to bowl, let's say it's in the morning and you're opening the bowling, you warm up, it rains, you come off, stops raining. Okay, we'll get back on in half an hour. S&C or the coach, get a nudge, get warmed up again, and then you get warmed up again. And warm-ups are probably the worst thing about cricket, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Possibly. So you end up with this scenario where it's weird. It's like I should be happy it's raining, but equally no, because it's not raining enough. It's like, it's a real.
The worst part is when you're mid-over or you just start your over, it starts raining, off we come for rain, and you're going to be straight on when you get back off, and then you go back on. This happened to Kyle Abbott, I want to say, either this season or last season, where I think we were coming on and off for rain, and I reckon he must have bowled about 11 overs, maybe even 12 or 13 consistently, but on and off the pitch because of rain. It's just frustrating. And he'd always like finish. We'd always come off like 1 ball to spare or 3 to spare, and he's at the top of my, please, like, let's get round, give me the ball, so we can run in and try and finish his over off. It's nothing worse than trying to get yourself warm again to bowl 2 balls in an over. It's horrible,
especially when you're a little bit older. That starts getting hard. Interestingly, I remember a time where that worked. This was when I was at Middlesex. I feel like I'm going through all my teams here. Played against Somerset at Lords, and the way the rain worked was that basically Charles Willoughby and Andrew Caddick bowled 15 overs each, and basically they just kept getting a rain delay when they might come off. But they bowled Middlesex out for about 80, I think, something like that. And they were the only 2 that bowled. They just was like, okay, we'll just keep going. But yeah, it's an interesting scenario.
I'll tell you the other thing I would do is, this was at Edgbaston, because there was always soup in the corner. I'd always go in for a bit of soup as well. a few pieces of bread.
It's, you know what? We should probably get into what actually happened, because we've gone here through everything that kind of, in terms of the rain, there's not much more to talk about. The reality is professional players like it when it rains because it means that they can then play and do something different. So it could be, and the scenarios you get, like you say, are you'll get people who think, right, I am going to get a hit in, or I'm going to get a gym session in, and then the rest of the day is theirs to have fun. Or you'll get the people who are sort of more bowlers, probably will just take things a bit slower, go for some soup, have a coffee, perhaps venture away from the ground. Again, Glamorgan's a good place for rain because there is a really good coffee shop that's about a 5-minute walk away. I can't remember the name of it, but it's decent. Then you get, I feel like it's more of an afternoon thing, is the games start getting played. Is that fair, do you think, or am I underselling it? Like you get your indoor cricket, your pig and all those games.
Here at Hampshire, I don't think we have the room for that kind of stuff. I can only go more off Warwickshire because there was bigger room in the players' area to like mess around. I'd say the first thing that everyone would do actually is they would boots off, phones, straight to the phone. Get the phone out and be looking through social media, whatever it is, playing on the games, whatever. And there would be that group which you've said will go off, maybe get a bit of gym in, or people will get the cards out, or others will go for food. And if you knew you're going to be off for a long time, that's when your group of you would then look at going, well, should we go out? Can we get permission to go for a coffee somewhere or whatever? Or the big perfect time where I go and see physio and get a massage just to look after my body a bit.
That's true, actually. You'll get a few people that want to sleep. To be honest, play with Tom Scriven now, and he's quite frustrating because I enjoy his company and hanging out with him. He'll just sleep. I'm like, mate,
how's he? What's he sleep? What does he need sleep for?
I don't really know. The bloke's like, I mean, I have no idea, to be honest. But he's like Atik Javid. He'll just he can sleep anywhere.
Yeah.
And he basically chooses to do it. I'm trying to think here what my absolute favourite thing is. But there are games that I would advise people play. Right, one of my favourite things to do when you properly booked in for some good rain is the weather game. Have you ever played that? I think you
No.
might. You get a newspaper, ideally like a broadsheet, like the Times or something, and basically you get a group about 4 of you, and in that you'll have a weather section, and basically everyone gets like 3 lives, and your job is to name a city that's in the newspaper weather section.
Right.
So if you guess the city correctly, boom, it gets crossed off. You don't lose a life. So, for example, you might say like Rio de Janeiro, which is always in there. So, yeah, great. Moves on to the next person. And gradually, obviously, all the cities get marked off and people, it gets harder and harder to guess. You have to get a little bit more niche.
Yeah.
And if you guess the temperature correctly, you get a life back. So, for example, you'd say Rio de Janeiro, 28 degrees. And then I'd normally be the one with the paper, like going, "Oh no, it's 22." But well done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think I can't remember playing that with you too much.
No, I didn't really do any of that. There was the odd person that played a bit of Sudoku or whatever. Sometimes, well, a lot of the lads like a bit of darts here, so they'll play darts as well.
I can tell. I am going to name a shame here. I played cricket once with a guy called Adam London. Right, when I was at Middlesex, we played the weather game, and he thought Heathrow was a city. He didn't realise it was just an airport. He thought it was a city. So that's okay. Just dropped Heathrow. So like literally, we were playing with like Ed's quite an intelligent group. It was like Ed Smith, Ed Joyce, someone. It was an intelligent change room. Jamie Dalrymple, for example, all these like Cambridge and Oxford graduates, and then Adam London from wherever he was from, and he said Heathrow.
What was the reaction there?
I think disgust. But yeah, he was such a good lad as well. But yeah, Heathrow, wild. Sorry, I interrupted you there, but I thought it was a good opportunity just to bring that one up.
Wow, I forgot what I was saying now.
Oh God, I can't remember. I tell you what, mobile phones though have not made rain better.
In what way do you mean?
People antisocial. People have their heads in their phones. I mean, it's a big issue of mine in society now. Anyway, is just people like I'm going to get my phone. People like that, just like sat there. You know what I mean? Like pick your head up and do some stuff.
Yeah, the only time, obviously we talked about weather apps and stuff. The only time it can become a bit of a issue is when, or a problem is when people are banking on that rain coming in. So you kind of mentally switch off. You're like, oh yes, it's coming in, and then you can switch off, and before you know it, you're looking at your main go-to and go, well, where's this rain? Let me have a look. And they look on the app and actually it's missed. And then there's a bit of frustration towards your teammate for getting it wrong in the first place.
So again, as an older player, I can say this, and I've tried to become like a reasoned voice in the changing room. With regard to rain, I tell all the young lads, if it comes, it comes. You know what I mean? Don't just, if it comes, it comes. And it's so true, because like you say, if you're anticipating, like you're just not in a good frame of mind either way, are you? Because you've got one thing, you should be doing your job, right? So get your wickets, get your runs. Yeah. And if it rains, enjoy the outcome of the rain and what you can do with that time off. But you can't be sitting there in the field distracted by it and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I do recall the time, I won't name the coach, but we played at Yorkshire away and it was really bad weather. There was no chance we were getting back on. But the head coach at the time was really wanting us to get back on. I think he saw it as an opportunity to get some points, which I don't think we were going to get because of the rain.
Do I know this coach?
Yeah, and he said to Ian Westwood, he said, he came in and said, "Are you ready?" He said, "Why?" It's chucking it down. It was just dark cloud as far as you could see at Headingley. You could not see anything else apart from dark clouds, and it was just raining all for hours non-stop. And and the coach got that annoyed because we couldn't get on. I think he started to take this frustration out in Westwood, and he's just like, just kept saying, "Are you ready?" It's like, well, no, because we're not going out. Then Ian Westwood decided to just sit in his whites. Everyone else was in the like joggers and shorts. Ian West put his white back on, his short leg pads, and his helmet. And his helmet just sat there in the corner. And the coach came back in and said, Wesley, be ready to be ready. And Wesley just looked at him with his helmet on and said, I am ready.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love stuff like that.
It's probably one of those you had to be there to see it, but I think Wesley had just had enough because it was like every 10 minutes for like 2 hours. Just
he's got a good sense of humour, Westy. Like that's so him as well, isn't it? It's like, right, I'm going to show you.
We didn't get on.
He was the original. I can't remember the term we used, but he was the original like referee or master of our. What do we call it? Pig.
Yeah, of any sort of games, he would be the go-to.
And then you sort of took it over, didn't you?
Yeah. He started to back off a little bit and not being involved as much. So I was like, this is my chance to be a decision maker.
This is a good time for me to introduce your alter ego because your nickname was the Cleaner, wasn't it?
Yeah. God.
You had a really hard flick.
Yes.
And we used to.
The game would be
Tit or Pig. What do we call the game?
Both. I think it was Tit actually. Let's play Tit. So the game would be where you'd have a football. There'd be 7-8 of you around, and you'd have to serve off your knee. You could have one bounce, and one person had to then kick it at another or whatever, and you had to try and keep it going. And if the ball went near, you flinched for it but didn't get it, you would lose a letter. Basically. Yeah. You had 3 lives. And if you lost, you would then get a flick on the head. But if you were serving and you lost all three points on your serve, everyone would get to flick your head. Wow. And that's quickly got the name Cleaner because people would be like you'd be sweating a little bit. And I think originally
people would be flinching, wouldn't they?
I got my shirt and wiped someone's forehead so I didn't have to get that kind of wet slap off the head. And then I basically flicked someone's head quite hard, and it kind of swelled up a little bit. Hence, then the nickname, the Cleaner, came around.
Interestingly, the lads at Leicester think now I have a really hard flick, and I do have a decent flick, but it's not like it wasn't. It's nothing.
Do you flick with your index finger still? Oh, you got middle finger now.
Yeah, you used
to be like that.
No, that was like Clarkey or something like that.
All right, look after you, mates.
Although, so at Leicester at the minute, they've the changing rooms have been like redeveloped. So pretty much they're awesome, right? We have a big rug that basically goes in the middle of the room, and it has like about maybe half a meter of spare room around the walls. If you can imagine just a big rectangular change room. So we play Pig or Tit, but the ball can't bounce off the mat. So because it's indoor, it just brings it down. It's more of a finesse game and like just sneaky game. But you can kick a ball off a wall, provided it comes back into the court.
Yeah.
And like if someone blasts one at you, you can kind of leave it, stuff like that. It's you would love it.
Tit as well when we play Tit is for people who get a double flick off everyone. His roof is always live. If the ball hit the roof,
can't hit a roof.
Horrible.
It was Haney, wasn't it? Always Haney in the middle, getting double flicks and basically just being rubbish.
Well, always trying to get too involved, and then he'd become a target for everyone. Everyone would then try and hit the ball at him because he wanted to get too involved. So he learned. I think he learned his lesson in the end.
I feel like people always have a signature move as well. So Pete Hanscom at Leicester at the minute loves to just fake and then leave it, and then the person who it bounces near hasn't gone for it. You know, the lads haven't cottoned on yet. You know, he always does the same maneuver. We actually, I reckon, concussed Ed Barnes last year. I think he just hit the roof and he got flicked a lot for whatever reason. And he I can't remember if he was ill in the afternoon or if it was the following day he came in and felt like really groggy. But literally the boys peppered him with flicks. And he genuinely, he was like, yeah, I think I was concussed. Yeah, felt
Gee.
sick, which is a sign. Felt sick, headache.
Wow.
Like, yeah, pretty harsh, but
That's terrible.
so this is the nature of the game. So that and the weather game are my all-time favourite games. Indoor cricket. You were a bit of
I was an indoor cricket, so I, as a kid, played a lot of indoor cricket. So it got to a stage where it used to be like, as a kid, throwing a bit of off spin, and then as you start to play competitive with mates, you learn how to flick it out your hand and then flick it with the other hand and turn it the other way. So I got quite good at that. So I'd always be involved in that. I did create a new indoor game where, the catch it ramps.
Yeah.
Put two of those down behind each other for a length, and always trying to get the slips involved and the keeper involved, looking for a little thin nick. So someone would use a thin bat, and sometimes they want to keep low, but most of the time off like back of a length, it'd be like flying up through here. Or
can you remember Jeets getting hit in the mouth? I remember Jeets getting hit in the mouth. I'm sure you threw it. Because everyone has their own way. So like people think I've got to smother it, I've got to go back or whatever. And Jeets was like, I'm going to get forward, and it literally just hit him in the jaw, just went straight in his face. I vividly remember that. Yeah, brilliant. That was a good game. That was a good game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one other thing I liked about Rain is just meant if it was the right time, you could always fill your boots a bit at lunch. Just get a little bit extra on board, knowing you're not going on.
Yeah. And you'd skim all the crumble off the crumble.
That's For those listening, I basically at Edgbaston, it used to be day 3 would be dessert day, and you'd always be hoping that it wouldn't be a bowling day. And when it was a batting day, especially, the chef would make apple crumble a lot of the time. And basically, what I would do is I would go to the crumble first, scrape a lot of the crumble off.
So awful.
Take no apple really whatsoever, maybe a little bit of apple, but mostly crumble, and quite a bit of custard. And I'd set that down next to where I was going to sit, and then I'd get my main meal for lunch. And then a few of the lads would come back and they'd have the main and then go to dessert, and they'd be left with basically apple and a bit of custard. I used to love that. And it got to the stage where the chef, Scott, knew that I just loved crumble that much. He didn't even start making apple crumble. He just made crumble. That was so good.
Yeah, that's the dream, isn't it? To be fair, that is the dream. I'm trying to think. We must have missed some games here. Oh, poker. Did we ever have a poker?
There'd be cards at times. Poker we didn't play much poker. It'd only be if we were traveling. I'd say on the bus that we play poker. Remember playing Clarky on the bus.
Oh, Keith the River Barker. Yeah. You've had a few nicknames over the years, haven't you? The Cleaner, the River, Man. Yeah.
I do remember Clarky on the bus. Obviously, this isn't to do with Rain, but he became. There was like 6 of us playing, and he became really predictable as to when he had something and when he didn't.
He would hate that if he listened to it. Who would that be? That would be you, me, Westy, Amby,
Jeets, and
Clarky, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
chops a little bit.
Yeah, the odd time. Yeah, brilliant days, brilliant. And I remember Clarky. I remember feeling he might have something this time round, but I'm going to take a gamble. And then On the River came through. Nice. Cheers, Rick. Both gone all in. He was livid.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here because I mean, what I would say about poker, you do need a proper amount of rain for that.
Yeah.
I remember and I love poker. I first got into poker at Middlesex second 11, and we were down in Canterbury, and it rained for 4 days. And so the Middlesex and the Kent lads would play poker together, which was quite cool.
Different.
Yeah, I mean, they even came back. I'm sure there was a guy called Rob Furley who he was like genuinely quite good, and he met us at our hotel. We literally played non-stop. Got into it from that. But again, that was like 4 days of rain, and then they couldn't take the covers off one day either because it was too windy, so it was too dangerous to take covers off.
Right.
You know, and you're like, oh wow. But poker, you need proper rain delay. Have you played a game called Perudo, the lie dice? I think you will have. With Josh Poisson brought that in.
Yeah, not much. I do remember it though.
Good game. I'd highly recommend that.
And
to be honest.
I will say, not that he's listening, but a shout out to Paul Best for Mal. Do you ever play Mal?
Whoa.
I still don't get the game. I still don't understand it now, but it was brilliant to be involved in.
Oh, that was unbelievable. I feel a bit like that was more of like a night out, pre-night out game though. More than
there was a few times in the seconds where we played it, and it only worked really well for me, I thought, when he was running it. Yeah, he knew everything about it.
But I'm right in thinking with Mal, the idea is, without saying it, there are no rules, and rules get added as you play.
Yeah,
by this one person. Is that right? If I remember,
the rules to start with, which only I remember Bestie knew the whole rules. But then, if you won, you could then bring your own rule in, but you didn't have to state what that rule was until you decided when.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So people might be playing and get down to the last card, and they'd be like, "Yes, you have to say thanks. You have to say thank you."
That's spoof, but it might have been a rule.
Something
now,
like that.
Bestie, he used to introduce it, didn't he? Like, welcome to Cambridge rules, Mal, kind of thing. And you'd be like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
He did it. He's a funny individual. Do you remember in Barbados, we were at that karaoke bar, and he was heckling the guitarist or the singer?
No.
Yeah, they called him up on stage, and then basically, to get their own back, the actual artist he stopped playing like mid lyric, and Bestie was like, like just dreadful. And there was like a busy bar as well. It was like, it was that red room or red door.
Yeah, Red Door, I think it was.
Something like that.
Something like that. Just you mentioning Paul Best and Barbados, funny enough, I think it came across my phone the other week when we scared him.
Yeah. Tom Milne sent it through WhatsApps, I think.
Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it?
That was fun until you saw his reaction, and then when I knew what had gone on, it was like, all right, sorry.
I can't even remember what had gone on, but the thing with
bad day.
Yeah, he'd had a bad day. Can we talk about, because he am I right in thinking he was pondering retirement kind of thing?
Yes.
And he was like, you know what, I'm not loving it. He was such a lovely bloke, really intelligent, and I'm pretty sure, didn't he, after a night out, he was like, I need to look at the stars in Barbados and just contemplate my future. And this was at like 3 a.m. or something. And he got not lost on the roof, but basically he fell asleep on the roof, woke up, and then when he went back into his room, it wasn't his room. It was like just some random couple on holiday, and he just basically burst into their room at 3 a.m. or something like that. And then there was a complaint made and all sorts. Because it was like a flat roof, wasn't it? If you know, it was kind of flat, and he was literally just lying on the roof and went back into what he thought was his room.
He went to, so basically, I think he'd gone into his room, climbed the balcony. I know we've gone off the subject here of rain, but this was very funny at the time. He got into his room, contemplated like what he should do, and went and laid down. I think he'd had a few to drink.
There's a few rums involved.
Yeah, looking up at the stars and kind of thinking what to do, and then got up again and climbed back onto the balcony, opened his sliding door, and gone to lie down in his bed, because obviously there was 2 singles, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And he's gone to just get into the bed that was round closest to where his bed was, and as he's got into bed, there's a man and his wife.
Unbelievable. Oh,
Which she woke up for, if I remember correctly, like screamed or whatever, and he jumped over the balcony and went into his room.
I can't remember how it came about. Did Ash did we have like a bit of a team meeting? And it was like, look, lads, let's just make sure we're sensible here. We've had a complaint. And then did Bestie kind of like put his hand up and own up to it. Is that how it went down? And he apologised, didn't he, or something?
I don't know if it was Ash or if it was Dougie
Oh,
who was in charge.
oh, it might have been Dougie, actually.
Mm,
Yeah. Amazing.
yeah.
I mean, you know what? This is a whole different topic, and we're going to have to talk about pre-seasons because just some of that. And you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. Even rain delays. Some of the best memories that you have are stem from these events.
Yeah.
Like a bit of rain, and you're like, oh God, yeah, I can remember that. Like every time Haney would hit the roof, which was every time, and then literally 15 lads would all be like up in his boom, boom, flicking him. Oh, unreal. Yeah, great stuff. What about then? If you've got any more games, I don't know if I've got too many more, but is there anything that you would advise people should do? Because this is the Bowlers Union. We want to help. We want to help bowlers and stuff. What would you advise?
To what? To bowlers? What, when it's a rain delay?
Well, is there any good advice you can give, or would your advice be, you know what, it's kind of a little enjoy it when it comes kind of thing?
I think it's an enjoy it when it comes, but almost have a few things in the locker of what you can do. You want to be
just lost you there. We've just lost you there. So if you said anything in that last second, go again.
Give yourself a few options, just so if you do come off rain, you've got a few different things you can look at doing. Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy us going for a coffee. I thought it was quite like there was me, you. There'd be like 3 or 4 of us that'd go for a coffee, a bit of a laugh or whatever. I think it was good for the bowling unit because we did that as bowlers, didn't we? And our batters do their thing. But I do think it helps bring you together a bit more as like bowlers and teammates. And you can find out 1 or 2 things more from doing that.
Yeah, like who drinks a latte, and then you can unfriend them. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, go to
yeah, I don't think there's much. I think the older you get as a bowler, the more you start looking for rain. Definitely, the more you enjoy rain, I'd say, because you start to feel it more. You start to feel it on your body more.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And actually, let's be honest. From a bowling point of view, if there's rain around, the chances are the conditions are in your favour somewhat.
Yeah.
So like you get a bit of a rest, and then actually, I know we talked about swing, didn't we, a few episodes ago with Aaron? But if there's moisture around, perhaps the temperatures, I don't know, for whatever reason, it feels like it's more bowler friendly when it's moisture about. So it can work really well. You get a rest and you get the moisture. I reckon my best bits of advice would be, this is being professional now, if it comes, it comes. So don't look for rain, but take advantage of it when it comes. Tidy your spot in the changing room.
I was going to say that. I was literally going to say that was the other thing.
Yeah.
We do. There would be the odd time pranks would be played. I do remember this was mostly rain breaks, but then we carried it on. I forgot exactly what it was. It was like I feel like it was like a spanner or something like that. We kept putting it in Westy's spot. I don't know if you remember. We kept doing it, and he just come back. Who's put this there? Because there was me, Westy, then you. There was me, Westy, then you in the corner, wasn't there? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mella next to me.
Yes, and then I do remember at one point it'd been there that long, this spanner that we didn't. I wish we did. Is because it'd been there that often, and he kept moving it away from his spot. I was going to try and get his address and post it to me.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
But yeah, I think there was a few pranks that'd be played. Obviously, you go to the toilet and I'd chuck a bit of water over the.
Oh, mate. Do we want to talk about this now, or is this a waste?
No,
Go on,
we can talk about it now. Or we can leave it for like pranks that have been played. Just random pranks that have been played over the time. We'll leave that for another time.
Let's save it for a prank episode. That one that was particularly funny because of the duration. That one was over like a year.
That was 2 or 3 seasons I kept doing that for to you.
It was really annoying. And then the way it came all ended badly was pretty amusing. You know what? And this will be a test. I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to prank Ben Mike.
Okay.
I bet you he should listen to this podcast because there'd be lots of value in it for him. I am going to prank him, and so I can say, "Why aren't you? Are you my mate? Why aren't you supporting the podcast?"
Yeah.
But also, I reckon I could do that. He's literally in the spot next to me. I might just leave something in his spot, and I know where he lives as well, so I can then take it further and just
post
leave
it,
it
just
on his
deliver
doorstep.
Deliver it through.
Oh, how good's that?
What
could I leave for him?
Do you know what? Hang on, because he's very much. I know he's all about image.
Ben.
Yeah, maybe like you could start sending him like leaving leaflets for like cosmetic surgery and stuff. Just
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Or I'm trying to think of just like a mate. I mean, he wears all sorts of stuff. He did have these sandals that were awful.
Or just get some really cheap like deodorant and just put it in his spot. Just keep putting it in his spot, like to send like just a bit of a message, and he doesn't know who's doing it, and then like deliver it to him in like a little package at his house. Like,
I'll tell you what, like and I don't mind a good Lynx Africa. I'll tell you who loves like an aftershave and stuff is Sol, right? Sol Buddinger. He's really up to speed on his aftershaves and stuff. So he's like got a nice collection, quite a few. I could get a Lynx Africa and just cover his spot in it, so that no matter what he spends on his smell, he will just smell of Lynx Africa the whole time. And that could be it. That could be it. A long-term play over like however long.
That'd be pretty funny.
That would actually be quite funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Like rain breaks. Get off first. Just go up quickly. Run up the stairs. Bang, bang, bang. And like leave his whole spot just there as it is. And he comes up to Lynx Africa. Like,
if you know the individual, it would be brilliant. Ben would be, if you're going to prank Ben, it would be more of a fashion-related thing, I think. Definitely. But the spray is a good one. That could really work with Sol, because he'd be like, I think he spends a decent amount on like your Tom Fords and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be amusing if no matter what he did, he just smelled of Africa the whole time. Being a bit of Lynx from back in the day.
Sprays batting gloves.
Oh, that's see. Okay. That's too far, isn't it? Because that's meddling with people's kit.
It is, but that would be fun if he had a certain type of glove that he just wore to batting nets. That'd be funny.
Yeah. Hey, here. So we've deviated a little bit here, but what advice? What would you say club players should do if it rains? Because that's an entirely different dynamic. In that you're not at work, so to speak.
So mostly lads would probably play a little bit of cards, I reckon.
Would they?
Yeah, there's not. I don't know how much you can do because you haven't got the same facilities, have you? To like,
if you're at home, you have to look after the ground, I suppose, haven't you?
Yeah, you're literally running the covers on and off. So, yeah, I don't know actually. I think we just lads lurk around on the phones, watch a bit of cricket, get something to eat at the bar, and chat absolute nonsense.
The weather game is the game at club level, I'd say.
That sounds good.
Huh? When you like it?
Just
the
like
game.
I'd be bored after a bit. Or I'd just to try and win, I'd like Google the most cities that are named in newspapers for weather.
Oh, you know what? You've just made me think of one other thing. If you don't know about it, is Sporkle, the Sporkle app, which is basically just an app with quizzes of any quiz. That's good fun.
Or they used to do 21 questions.
Which one's 21 questions?
You got 21 questions to try and find out which celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Right, we happy? Are we happy there?
Yeah.
Have we covered rain? Is there anything else we need to say or what?
No, I think we covered rain and a bit of other stuff as well. I think that's fine.
All right, cool. Are you the music man? I
am.
Right. I'll leave it with you.
We had to restart this because you wouldn't shut up talking, but
yeah, I'll be quiet now and I'll write it. We haven't. There's not much editing to do on this podcast. I think we've been very, very professional. But look, yeah, good podcast. Hope you all enjoy it. If you you know what, actually, genuinely, this is like the cricket fraternity here. If you do something really cool when it rains, message us in our DMs, and then maybe we can bring it into our own repertoire, especially this season because it's just raining all the time. So any cool ideas that we haven't talked about, send them in, and we'll share them and try and implement them. Right, take it easy, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.